Blurt TV. We gon' run it. All right, we're gonna look into the Miami Dolphins. Now, Miami. What can I say about Miami? 8-9 last season for a record, missing the playoffs, and when it comes to football, there's no bright side when you don't make the playoffs. There's some teams when you make the playoffs, there's some teams that they're young, but Miami 2 years ago was a playoff team. To go last year to not make the playoffs, it doesn't look like a step back. It is a step back. It's a clear step back. When you make the playoffs, your job is to now consistently make the playoffs. And Miami now has to take 2 steps ahead now to come back into that place where they feel comfortable. Because I promise you this, nobody over there feels comfortable not making the playoffs. And then when you look at it, your best player then asks for a trade. Miami had a little rough offseason, and they had a couple departures. Raheem Mostert, Jonnu Smith, Calais Campbell. But, man, that secondary really went through it. Lost Jalen Ramsey, lost Xavier Howard, lost Javon Holland. I mean, the names sound good, but if we're talking football, then there's opportunities in Miami. So we're going to see what the opportunities say, but let's look at here who they brought onto the team. The first name I have is Darren Waller. You know.
I'm already around there, had the whole fucking team on me. I love that shit. One more time. Oh, shit, they got the beam on me.
Besides that, I think we all know that the biggest name probably on this edition sheet is probably going to be the re-edition of Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, I don't know how players feel when they get traded, but imagine getting traded to a team that you wanted to go to, you're there for a couple of years, and then they traded you back to the team that you wanted to get out in the first place. I'm still a little baffled by it, but, Minkah can make it happen. Now, when it comes to the Miami defense, he's going to need to make it happen because, as I said earlier, that secondary has been depleted. Now, when you're a leader like Minkah Fitzpatrick, your job is going to be to elevate the others that will be around you. And I think Miami kind of knew what they're doing. They wanted that veteran in there. And we're going to see how this works. I'm going to give him a chance. We always give him a chance. I got to see some games before I start talking trash, but boy, that's tough. But looking in, we're also looking at a couple more additions. They got the Darren Waller edition. They also had the Minkah Fitzpatrick edition. And now looking at it, these linebackers, KJ Britt and Willie Gay. Willie Gay, if you've been paying attention to the game of football, solid playmaker when he played for the Chiefs. I believe it was 2 years ago. But last year he went to New Orleans and I don't know if it was the team that made it look like he wasn't making as many plays, but I didn't see Willie Gay last year. So I'm hoping that on this Miami defense, where he's going to get his chance, I believe, and a good chance to play good talent, to play good games, to be able to make plays, you need to be able to hit on some of these free agents if you're Miami. And I believe that Willie Gay is one of these free agents that they can hit on. They could hit big on Willie Gay. So I'm also going to look at, they tried with the secondary. They got Artie Burns, Kendall Sheffield. They got a couple cornerbacks, Ashton Davis at safety. But, when it comes to football and training camp and preseason, I don't really take too much into it until week 1. And I know what the starters are looking like, and I know exactly who the starters are going to be. But as we go there, we're going to look at the draft with Miami. And Miami they lost Christian Wilkins, I believe, 2 years ago. Christian Wilkins just got released last year. So they went directly in the draft and went out and got 2 defensive tackles. They went early and they got one a little bit later. They also went out and got an offensive lineman. Now, for me, when I see teams come out here and deliberately go into the trenches, I believe that this team understands how good they could be, but want to solidify it in the trenches. You solidify your team in the trenches. The best teams have great offensive lines. The best teams can rush the passer. If you are a good team, you can do one of those things. Miami is trying to build that. Now, will they build that? Development. Will they build that? The whole team has to come around Mike McDaniels. The whole team has to come around Tua Tagovailoa. The whole team has to come around Tyreke Hill, who asked to leave. Like, there are issues that this team as a whole can get around, but if they get around them, as a football team, as we all know, football is a team sport, the level that they can reach, to me, will be greater than what they did last year. Now, going into the season with Miami, there's two things. You guys can either make a run for it, and by run for it, I mean the playoffs, or you guys can make a run for it as in get everybody out of town. So I believe that if Miami has a slow start, it might be the best time to trade Tyreke Hill to get the most return. Depending on the GM, I couldn't tell you what they're actually thinking, but when a player asks for a trade and doesn't get traded, the leverage now is on the team to see what they kind of want to do. Now, do you want to keep Tyreke, who's already said he's wanted to leave? If it's me personally, I keep the fastest player in the league, and I just try to build an offense that he can weaponize himself. Now, I do believe Miami has done that, but I also believe that you are limited with understanding the offense that Tua has to play. Tua does have to play a particular offense, and I believe that does kind of limit them, but I also believe that Tua is exceptional at what he does. Tua is a 1%er. So Tua's mind needs to be honestly, he needs to lead with his mind. He needs to lead mentally. He needs to read the defenses and needs to be on point. But I believe personally that if Tua is on point, then this team will be on point. But anything else, I mean, if they're not on point, I'm going to be honest. I see trades offensively, defensively. I mean, I honestly would tell Minkah Fitzpatrick, you better start renting because this team might be in rebuild mode faster than we think. Now, going into the season, I projected Miami to be 7-10. I gave them a ceiling of 10-7, but I also gave them a floor of 4-13. So it's so tough to kind of pick your spots with Miami, understanding that other teams, they've taken the step up. Now, Miami kind of didn't take as much of a step forward as you would like, but that's where coaching comes in. That's where scheming comes in. That's where playmakers making plays come in. So we're going to take a look at the schedule and, let me know what y'all think. I'm really interested to see what people think about Miami because you have the Bills right there. So we're not guessing y'all going to win the division. Now you guys are going to make the playoff. I mean, what is the end goal for this Miami team this year? Is it to just make the playoffs? Because I don't view them as a Super Bowl contender. But I'm trying to be nice as best as I can. But let's look into the season. I did project them 7-10, so that's not bad. So they open the season off with the Colts. I go a win versus the Colts, a win versus the Patriots. They go to Buffalo and lose. No disagreement there. They win home versus the Jets. They win at Carolina. They lose versus the Chargers. I have a win versus the Browns. A win not a win at Atlanta. A loss at Atlanta. Kind of starts a streak for them. Loss at the Falcons. Loss at the Ravens. Loss versus the Bills. Loss versus the Commanders. So that gives them the bye week at 5-6 going into the bye week. And I mean, these last couple games, they are winnable, but it just depends on how they're looking at it. I don't think going into the bye week they have the best schedule. Last 3 games, looking at the Ravens, looking at the Bills, looking at the Commanders. But you never know with teams like this, you know? You never know. But they end the season versus New Orleans. I have a W there. At the Jets, I have a loss there. At Pittsburgh, I have a loss there. Versus the Bengals, I have a loss there. Versus the Buccaneers, I have a loss there. And Week 18 in New England in December. I'm sorry, January. For me to pick these guys to beat the Patriots after just picking they're about to have what? Lose 8 of the next 9. I couldn't do it. So I said they're going to win a game in January in New England. And that's how they ended off 7-10. I don't honestly know if they can, but I honestly believe that with development, they should be a better team. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. This is Shmati with Blur TV. I'm out.
Oh shit, they got the beam on me. Playing defense, trying to draw up a scheme for me. What you mean I ain't the one? Every time I ran around, they had the whole fucking team on me. I love that shit. One more time. Oh shit, they got the beam on me. Playing defense, trying to draw up a scheme for me. What you mean I ain't the one? Every time I ran around, they had the whole fucking team on me. team for me. What you mean I ain't the one? Every time I ran around, they had the whole fucking team on me.
I love that shit. One more time.
Oh shit, they got the beam on me. Playing defense, trying to draw up a scheme for me. What you mean I ain't the one? Every time I ran around, they had the whole fucking team on me. Oh shit, got the beam on me.